Hi, everybody.
Good
Here we are.
afternoon.
Hi.
Here we are for our
Hello.
7th webinar. This one is about recruitment and the latest trends under the Corona crisis. And we're very, very happy that we have so many speakers that will tell how they keep finding talent. You've seen the invitations. We'll start with Jean-Louis, who will tell for Monizze. After that, we have Catherine Van Geel, who will tell us how that Isabella Group is managing this. And after that, we have Claire Godding from Febelfin, who will share the insights of how the whole financial industry, more the incumbents, the banks, how that has gone over the last year and what they see happening in the last few weeks. So I would say, Jean-Louis, kick off. And maybe for you, a first question. I know you prepared some slides because your company, Monizze, does electronic meal vouchers. And you are uniquely placed to know how people are spending their meal vouchers now and how companies are still emitting them. So maybe if you can show us a little bit about that before going into the HR part.
Exactly. So happy to be there. I will put myself on the presentation so that you see the screen, correct?
Great, perfect. We see everything fine.
Alrighty, so let's speak about the agenda. First of all, we're looking at the meal, eco, and gift voucher. We can see what are the impact of the COVID confinement or containment of the last week. So we will see the impact on the employees. We'll see the impact of the merchants. So not only
I'm going to interrupt you straight away for that picture. We have a special poll set up to see if people perceive our industry as gender balanced or not. So we really want to know from the everybody in this webinar, over 30 of you now, how that's being perceived. But do go on. That's later on.
Exactly. So just to be clear, this is not a picture of the Monizzers and the way they are going back to work, but that is actually an extract of the presentation I made to the Monizzer to remind themselves that when they go and they work from home, it's not the same attire that they should wear when they are at the office, obviously. So then we will talk, of course, about the topic of the day, the money is life. What is the new way of working, and also what type of recruitment did we do during the COVID crisis? And then I just outlined exactly what's happening since last Monday about the back to work as within Monizze. So that's it. So first of all, let us look into the evolution of the purchase habit. So what I've done, I've taken the transactions log of Monizze, that is the people spending their meal voucher mainly here and see the trends between January till April. And you can see on the right hand side, you have the graph. The blue line is the transaction and expressed in percentage of the transaction of month number 1, which is January. You've seen a little big push onto February. And then you see a really steep drop up to 20% in the number of transactions in April. When you look at the yellow line, you see the average purchase per shopping cart. And if we try to understand this blue line and the yellow line, actually what we see is that there are, first of all, less visits of the point of sales in April. Why is that? Because the people cannot go to the snacks or the restaurants. So they go obviously rather to the retail. We believe that it is also further pushed by the fact that the people want to do some shopping experience as few as they can. So most of the people will try to gather most of the purchase to avoid going into the point of sales and getting in contact with some others. And that's the reason that it resulted in a drop on transactions. In total, we see a drop of 8%. Of the purchase and obviously if you have less transaction, obviously that means that the shopping cart is bigger, and that's of course the people wants to go less frequent, and then they have to buy more obviously here using their meal voucher.
But so that also confirms, we read in newspapers that the retail, the big food chains, they're doing like huge turnovers, that this extra turnover is actually coming from people not going to restaurants and snacks and bars. They're probably buying their food themselves now. Well, certainly. Have you been contacted by the government to get these numbers? Because they have a special data task force that wants to see, or...
No, not yet. Actually, that's a good remark. We should contact them. We have been contacted by the government in order to introduce some, our platform that is able to channel some kind of aid. If we speak about helicopter money, and this is something that is in the making with the government, but no decision so far.
Okay, so you were coming to the next point about the amount of meal vouchers, because people do not get a meal voucher when they are in temporary unemployment. Is that correct?
Exactly. So you get meal voucher on the work day. So if you go on vacation or if you are on unemployment, you are not entitled to have some. And obviously, when you see the curve, you see that and that is the value in the red curve. Obviously, you see that in April there is a steep decrease. You need to know that you receive the meal voucher based on the work day the month before. So the steep drop in April is already an impact of what's happened in March, because you had half of only 2 weeks out of the 4 of March where the people could get in unemployed. It's already a drop of 20%. So you can imagine that in May we will be seeing even a steeper drop in the number of issued voucher. So that is a direct impact on the revenue of Monizze, to be totally clear for all of you. So that is the impact, and we see immediately with our transactions and the orders we receive from the employers, the impact of the COVID containment onto the habits. Now, we wanted, on the next slide, we wanted to give just a small insight of what's happening on the transaction. On the right-hand side, you see that, as I said, we have a drop in value of 8% on April, and that is the drop will be steeper this month because April will be have less issued value, and also because that's good. My dog will. There's somebody that's the idea of working from home. You have people that are so, and my wife is not there.
I thought you were going to say my dog will open the door, but you're not at that stage.
No,
yet.
Actually, he will not open the door, and I need to escape somewhere where he will not bark further. But never mind. This is the joy. So let me go to this one. So we have hidden actually the names of the retailers. That was not the idea to have this retailer, let's say, shown here, because it's a kind of privacy. But what is important to see is that some will win, some will lose. What the big winners are Macro and Colruyt. They are really increasing their share overall.
Wow.
What we see are discount stable, even some loss. So we believe that is relative to where the beneficiaries are located. And then what we see, a very big increase of franchises. So either the Carrefour Express of the Deleuze, the local Deleuze, these guys are really increasing dramatically their shares.
Wow.
So that means that the people are going rather to people to the closest shops than to maybe some others. So this is open for interpretation, but what we see as the change in the mix is really big. To be honest.
It also shows that in our data economy, many third parties like your company can see macroeconomic trends. You can see how people have changed their habits. Like we're going to be discussing the HR habits afterward, but this is a really, to me, it's super interesting information, even for a government and a society to know, like, okay, I'm not the only one who's been shopping close to home and only to make big shopping once in a while at one of those shops. Okay.
Exactly. Sorry for the dog barking. Then, what is the change of habits within Monizze? So, did we recruit or not? So the first question is that we have adapted ourselves with new tool for teleworking and the likes. Okay. So we have adapted also in the sense that we have daily team calls. We have adapted also our technical platform to have, people being able to be contacted by clients when they are at home, and likewise they are at the office.
And the IPBX means you have an interactive phone rerouting to their home addresses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So partial unemployment. So we did also apply some partial employment, mainly for the sales and customer care people. And we have provided some countermeasures so that we can minimize for this population the loss in net revenue. Yet for whatever it is related to new projects, investment in the future, we kept 100% of the people for the IT, for the product owner and the product and services managers. And then whether you can believe it or not, we are a small team and we are 55 within Monizze. We recruited during these 2 months of confinement, we recruit a team lead, which is a woman, which is a she, by the way, and that will lead the team of the contacts, the customer care. Sorry.
So all the interviews went online, and at which points did you meet? Like the signature of the contract, was that also dealt online?
Actually, the thing is that we let our premises visited once.
Okay.
And so there are some only 2 or 3 people maximum at Monizze, mainly to receive the mail and not to be alone. That's also very important. And then she wanted to just see the premises. I think that's also interesting for the people to see.
Okay, great.
We have also recruited 2 additional IT guys. Okay. onto a team of 6, so we are now 8 plus the boss, 9 people. Yeah. And obviously, or not obviously maybe, but we froze the recruitment of new additional sales positions. The reason why we recruit, you need to know that we Monizze for the last 3 years increased the revenue and our performance onto the market by 25 to 30% each year. So that will also have an impact. So the sales that we are missing these months, the 2 months, March, April, will have an impact on our growth this year. That's for sure. So that is the change of average. So recruiting, just to be clear, recruitments, when you have the picture, the tele working capabilities, you can really recruit even if you have no direct contacts. But obviously for the last run, having the people to see and to meet is the ultimate thing that is important to do.
Okay, great. I think that's a great summary and also a fantastic handover to our next speaker. This was your last slide, right, Jean-Louis?
Well, I had a slide just to tell you how we organize the back to work, but it's maybe less relevant to this discussion.
Just show the slide, and then we'll use that as the handover to the next speaker. So you're already preparing the back to work. You mean the physical part of that?
So the physical part. So just 50. Just to the message is the people were dying to go back on work. So we have received so many people, they wanted to get back. Their apartment was too small. They were with the parents and they needed to see again.
I hear the colleagues. Barking dogs were a big issue too, I heard. Very good.
So, and we organize it very well. Not too many gathering, bring your mask and that's the picture and keep the social distance. So thank you very much for listening.
Okay, so for everybody who's tuned in, there's a chat and a question tab in there. So we do like you to be interactive and ask questions to our speakers. Next up, we have Katrien van Geel from Isabella Group. I will ask her to put on her camera and her microphone while Jean-Louis is leaving the stage. And she will tell us more about the impressive hiring that's going on for the moment at Isabella Group. I think we've lost her from what I see here on the screen. So if she's not coming back in the next 10 seconds, Claire, then I'm going to ask you to improvise and take on the second slot, and we'll change the order. So Claire, if you maybe want to step in at this point in time and do the improvisation that we all got used to at this point in time of our online careers, of seeing that you can actually make it online too. So Claire, can you? Yes, Claire, can you put on your camera? Yeah, there you are, much quicker than we had anticipated. So sorry to change the order, but the technical issues oblige us to change the speaker order. But very happy to have you here. I see that you're looking for your slides on the screen. We can hear you, by the way.
not really the slides I'm looking for. Okay, you are hearing me.
Okay,
you are seeing me.
Catherine, you're back, but we
really
are already
sorry.
changing the order, so you can't help
okay,
this.
I'll wait,
you'll be the third speaker. Yeah, so you can diminish your screen, and we'll have you right after Claire is done. So we're moving on.
The thing is, I don't know why I just also have the whole slide of the previous speaker, and I can't see where I can share my own screen.
Okay, so normally it's on the middle. If you hover with your mouse over your own video image, you should see your screen. If you activate that one,
doesn't seem to work. Sorry. Okay, so just let me just 1 second. I'm coming back.
Now
maybe
we have
I'll take over because I had the same problem.
Yeah.
When we switched slides, I was also blocked, so I had the same. Same problem.
we'll improvise. Go along. If you can get your information there, it's fine. So, Catherine, tell us a little bit more. What is your role at Isabella Group?
Voilà. I'll start with my presentation first. That will help.
Yeah.
Voilà. Normally, you should see the slides now.
Yes, we see you're the talent acquisition manager, so we see full screen. So go ahead.
Thank you. So maybe before I start going into the depth about the details about our talent acquisition team and what we have done during the COVID time, maybe start with a small introduction about Isabella Group. So I think
So this, I don't know if you can still hear me, but it seems to be blocked. So you can hear me, but we didn't hear Catherine anymore. So I think there's one connection lost. So this is really, it shows how hard it is to hire remotely if connections get lost. So we're going to do this DJ set where we're going to be switching between Claire and Catherine all the time. So Claire, if you can put on your microphone, we're just going to, everybody is watching with us. You see the problems we're encountering here. So we can hear you. We can hear you now. So whoever has the best connection gets to come on stage. That's the new rule. So there we go.
Let's try. Let's try.
So we are going to Claire now, Catherine, just so you know. So everybody, thank you for staying with us despite the technical difficulties. So to be very clear, Claire Godding, she works for Febelfin, and she's following the HR priorities in banks and how they evolved. And we look forward to how she can report on that. And you have a special interest in the gender perspective there and knowledge about that. So we look forward to you sharing that with us now.
Okay, thank you so much. So indeed, what I would like to share with you today is a little bit how the HR priorities in banks have shifted during the last months, give a little bit of gender perspective, and give you also a view on how the recruitment practice in banks has evolved in the last few weeks. So first of all, let's have a look at the most significant HR trends in 2020, at least until February, of course. So clearly, war for talent has become a reality since 2019 for banks. We see that we have more difficulty to attract the talents toward our sector. Clearly, also, the rise of AI automated work is becoming more and more important. Diversity and inclusion, I think if I am today a full expert working only on diversity and inclusion for financial sector at Febelfin, it's also the sign that somehow this becomes a central preoccupation of the sector. Purpose and culture, and of course, flexibility and fluidity. And that was until February. And then, of course, came the virus. And I would say, now, if I'm looking at this, I would say what remains for the moment is clearly continuity, obviously, inclusion, but maybe in a bit of a different sense, making sure that everyone also all alone in their own apartments still feel included into the company's culture. Purpose, people need more than ever to find purpose in what they do. Even then, I think that just after the crisis, the fact to be involved in helping to create a better normal will be something fundamental. So attention to purpose, and obviously flexibility and fluidity are more important than ever. Together than that, we had our own biggest business challenges. And for the financial sector, of course, innovation, the digital, managing the risks, having all the upskilling of talent to make sure that the colleagues are ready for the new challenges, and understanding the evolving needs of the clients were, until February, really what mattered. Now, I would say, with the virus, this again shifted, and on a very interesting way. Continuity, like for every sector, but also, and we have seen this, the financial sector had to very quickly wake up to a very specific role to play in the society during this crisis, making sure that digital inclusion is maximal, but also reaching to small companies, independent individuals who face a diminution in revenue, to make sure that there are possible accommodations in credits and so on. So this has become really important. And facing all this, the HR challenges and the business challenges, it is quite obvious that homogeneous groups would not be able to face this. So that's for me a very important point. And that's also why, when we listen to banks today, why do they care so much about diversity in recruitment? It is about connection to the client needs. It is especially about maximizing the collective intelligence in order to improve innovation capacity, improve the quality of risk management, being able to retain and to attract the best talent, and also to achieve a culture which is also more inclusive to all, but also more resilient, which is today extremely important. If we just look, I mean, I think there was a poll, so maybe I was just a little fast on this. So maybe it's good to know what people just said about how recruitment in the financial sector is currently.
So the answer is a 60% thinks that's equal, but only 6 people has responded so far. So I see a lot of people are picking up on your call to action to look into the poll tab, which is on the right side of your screen, and to start answering the question, the first one up there. But so 45% thinks it's still more men being recruited.
Well, what is important to know, and it's really interesting because it's different than the fintech world, it's really that banks in whole Europe are typically a very balanced environment globally. That is, you have more or less 50% women inside the whole financial sector, in Belgium as well as in Turkey, France, or the Netherlands. So that's interesting to know. Now,
but I feel a but coming.
Of course, there is
about the roles. Yeah.
So what we see is indeed we have a lot of women in branches. We have a majority of women among employees. In middle management, it's like a small half. It's around 45%. And then in management, senior management, it's often around 20-25%. So of course, this is not optimal. And not only is this not optimal, but we even can see some new threats. Since last year, we made a special survey with all banks to check how they had recruited, especially with a focus on IT and digital jobs. And we can see very clearly that since 2019, we can see a very small decrease in recruitment of women. Indeed, there are less jobs available in branches, much more jobs available in IT and digital, and that is typically a risk if we don't act. So that's one reason to act. A second point is indeed the reinforcement of the impact of this war for talent. So yes, there are less candidates. So lots of banks do try more than before to have an upskilling of existing colleagues because of the difficulty to hire. And also, we can feel also that since 2019, many banks woke up on the importance of becoming a more inclusive employer, also on employer branding. Now, there's also a new player since 2019, and FinTech Belgium is well aware because it's also part of this initiative. Women in Finance Belgium is a new initiative launched in June last year. So we had a charter and just a few very clear commitments. So in less than a year, we have 90% of the financial sector, banks, insurance companies, and other financial institutions who joined the charter with a few concrete commitments. So all the signatories have committed, and until now, more than 70% have realized the measurement of internal glass ceilings. What does that mean? It's really measuring exactly the levels where you start losing the women. And that's not just saying, well, I guess there is a problem in the big box of middle management or senior management. It's really going towards where exactly do we lose them in order to be able to define targets. But also then Women in Finance helps to make several steps. And one crucial step in order to better recruit is, of course, to make job descriptions more inclusive. In October, we had a whole training for all our members where they could work on their own real job descriptions to make them more inclusive. It's not just put the feminine next to the masculine. It's much more complex than that. And of course, if you need, I can provide you with more information on that. It's also a lot of...
I might have a question on how the Corona crisis might be helping in reducing the glass ceiling, because one of the factors that were often mentioned were the old boys networks of going to have drinks in bars after work.
Exactly.
And because they're closed and everybody is equal in working from home, there might be a change in there. Is it something you can already say something about, or?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We even already published about this with Women in Finance. What we see is indeed one of the biggest obstacles of women making career was presenteeism. And indeed, part of the new way of working with flexibility, capacity to work from home at a distance with digital tools, this is definitely an equalizer. An equalizer with, of course, a few limits, like lonely parents having to do with all the things at the same time, like we are for the moment. But mainly, I would say, even for conservative managers, this is also the discovery that people in home working are not in holidays. And that's absolutely fundamental. It's also, I believe, there is a raise of empathy, empowerment, because you can't control. So you have the choice. I mean, you can or try, like for the COVID, the French method, like we are at war and we control and we put sanctions, or you can try like the Belgian methods of having a contract with people and trusting people. And I believe there is really something interesting in that. Now, the proof of the pudding will definitely be in moving to the next steps after the confinement, which will be to propose to the employees to co-create together a better normal. That will be definitely something to do. Maybe I can just now shift to the last part, which is more, okay, how are the banks actually recruiting since the beginning of the Corona? And what I see there, I discussed with 6 banks. they all go on recruiting, that's clear. Most of them reduced with 10 to 25% the number of jobs. So for some jobs which are not really considered as key, they put a hold. But the recruitment process is fully digital in 5 banks on 6. One of them kept for the last part a physical meeting with, of course, distancing, mask, and so on. Some contracts are postponed to July because it's not easy to start working during these times. But I've heard 2 banks who were extremely happy with their new online onboarding system, where even high-level managers were taking the time to personally welcome, answer all questions of the newcomers. Typical key jobs are more, just as I mentioned, much less classical jobs in branches, but more about risk and compliance, project, IT, wholesale banking, and different experts. We see that candidates are still applying and are very happy of a digital hiring experience, also very happy that there is still something happening. And I was also happy to see in the 6 members, who are all 6 members of Women in Finance as well, that attention to gender and to diversity remains very important. What we see is also that internships and summer jobs may really be at the lowest level for the moment. So, but I would just say to conclude that I think that the challenge now is also to bring also the new hires, the new colleagues who just joined, together with everyone inside the companies in this important exercise that every company should do now about how can we create a better normal based on what we have learned during these last weeks.
Okay, thank you for that. I can say that from the contacts I had with people working in banks, they said for years we were not allowed to work from home because it's a privacy issues and sensitivity of data. And now that they have to work from home, all the tools seem to be available or relatively available. And so they all say we won't go back to normal. Exactly. Now that it has been shown, I can do so. The reality was like catched up by these events, and I think that's for sure. From what I hear from your members and that Febelfin is representing, something has really changed among the workforce there to see like, wait, we can do a large part of our jobs from home. So we want to enjoy this flexibility, which will become, and now it's enforced, but it will become an option after the crisis. So yeah, we look forward to that. So for timing's sake, we're going to have our last scheduled speaker on now, but everybody that is tuned in, we will have a Q&A, an interactive one at the end of this, and you can ask more questions to our speakers. So Catherine, we already saw your first slide. If you maybe can get it again on and share it with all of us, and then you have the I would say the platform, the whole screen for you to share how Isabella Group is coping with changes. I did understand that you have like over 20 positions to fill in the weeks to come. So we know we thank you for taking the time to share what you've learned over the last few weeks. So go ahead.
Okay. And can you see my slides now? Is it
yes,
okay?
We see your slides. Everything is perfect, good bandwidth and everything.
Okay, I'll retry. So let me first start with explaining a bit the organization about Isabella Group, what we do and what we have to offer. We're already in the run for 25 years. Most of you know us from our multi-banking solution, Isabella 6, but we really added different layers to that in the last years. So if you now check, here you see ClearFacts, Codabox, Ibanity joining us just to make sure that we are able to remove the hassle in digitalization of our clients, make sure that their administrative process is better around payments. We work around payments, electronic documents, and identities. So that are our 3 main focuses. Okay. And last year, we even added new products on there. Sign here, the tool that is now saving us in Corona times, where we can still sign contracts with new candidates, for example. We have Bookmate 7. And even this year in 2020, we have initiatives that are helping us now and our clients in full Corona times. So we are focusing on DigiCrowd, who is an initiative that we do together with our partners. It's around electronic invoicing. And by the end of 2020, in the fall, we will normally have Trulias launched, who is our corporate identity solution. So that's also something new that we offer. And why do we do this? Why do we keep expanding? It's actually to make sure that our clients are having really a bridge, that we can offer a bridge between all different solutions across the financial value chain. So from contracting to payments to reporting, we are there to help them. But we do that together with partners, but most importantly, we do that together with our employees, and they are our most valuable assets. Even before lockdown, we also decided to work from home. All of us are working 100%. I think 95% of us are working from home. A few are allowed to go in the office, of course, to make sure that our data center is working, make sure that for necessary IT, it's sometimes necessary that they're in the office, but it's very, very limited. So that means that we're all working on Teams, and it goes very well. So I think I'm bringing a positive message.
Absolutely.
But let's maybe start with some numbers from the previous crisis.
Yes.
I found some numbers online where you see the hiring rate from the banking crisis from 2008 and 2012, and there you see Belgium in there. The light blue dot is what we hired in 2008, and the dark blue is what we hired in 2012. So you see that there is a decrease, and this is mainly on lower skilled workers who works in the sector of construction and industry. And as of 2009, even in those sectors, it was at all levels. But I think the positive note is the biggest rise was actually in the recruitment of IT professionals, software professionals, sales, and healthcare workers. So even though there is a crisis, we keep on recruiting for those highly skilled people. And we also saw an increase in part-time and temporary work. And we expect actually for the Corona crisis that we will see the same impact. If you now compare to Corona, so I said highly skilled workers, that's what we have in Belgium. If you now look to what different countries are hiring, you see that Belgium is in the top 3 of highly skilled people. Luxembourg is winning, but still, we have to be honest, they also have a lot of Belgians working there. So we actually have a large scale of highly skilled people working in FinTech. Our suggestion as a company is that we will keep on hiring at the same pace, and we need those profiles, so we don't expect any decreases. Sorry. So I brought some numbers just to show you what we are doing and to compare 2018, 2019, 2020. This is actually the number of slots that we have open compared to our full-time FTEs. And you're going to think, wow, that's enormous. I have to give a small note. This is not our turnover. This are not all people leaving, not at all. But you saw many new projects, many new things that we are working on. Sometimes positions are cancelled. Sometimes this is also a replacement of a pregnancy leave or.
I think the connection dropped again, so I'll just point people to the chat session where you can see the open positions that Isabella is currently showing on the cvwarehouse.com. I see other people are joining in and typing to point out that you probably can't hear Katrien anymore. At least I can't, and I guess it's the same for everybody. Although we do get the slides to change, so that's a good sign. And I see that nobody can hear her, and I think we even lost the connection there. So let's see how quickly she can be back. Let's see. Yeah, Katrien, you're back.
I'm
That's
sorry.
very fast. No, it's okay.
I think my presentation is too difficult to show. I'm really trying. I do my best, but I can do without numbers. I can give my.
Let's not go for another presentation. Let's just take it. This works. Let's keep for what works.
Without the numbers.
It's fine. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll keep my presentation for me. So I don't know what was the last thing that you heard?
We saw the graph on the percentages, the open slots compared to the full-time equivalents, and you were explaining how many people you're still looking for right now.
Yeah. Voila, indeed. So we see we are looking, due to the new products, we are actively looking on the market. And just to give you an idea, the impact of Corona in March, it was quite, there was not quite that much hiring done. But then during the last 2 weeks, we got 22 new requests from the business, launching 23 new open slots.
Wow.
They're not yet all online. We are not that fast as a team. I'm really sorry. They still have to make job description and do their work well. But the biggest difference is in the number of slots. Before we got one agile coach, we got one full stack developer, but now they start asking for 1, 2, 3, or sometimes 4 in the same position. So it really goes fast, and it's just in a few weeks' time that we see that the offerings, especially in IT profiles, is booming. So I think a positive note in difficult times. What I also wanted to add is we keep actually over the years we keep actually a same balance of the numbers that we hire, and also a number between permanent and contractors. So we do actually 60% of our employees are permanent hires and 40% are contractors, and it's quite stable over the years. So that means that we're really focusing on a hire to fit with the organization and not based upon the type of contract. So I think that's important to hear, and that also shows sometimes that there is a higher need, because sometimes we use temporary contractors to help us out. What's actually the impact of Corona on the numbers? If you now look to the number of applications, we really saw a steep drop in March, where there was actually nothing coming in. It was actually 50% of the normal applications that we received in March. Candidates canceling interviews. It was very difficult to get things through, and we saw as of Easter that everything rebooted, and it was a few weeks that we thought, okay, how are we going to tackle, because we still have needs. No one is coming in, we cannot reach anyone, we cannot close anything. So a little bit of panic in our team, but we really recovered as of Easter holiday, and now we see a large boom in number of applications. We see a boom in number of interviews, and our agendas from our team are full. So and I think that's a very positive note to see that the people are reapplying, that they are doing interviews, and they are even more flexible to apply and to do the interviews itself. So we switched to 100% remote working, and also for our team, we're all working from home, and this type of problems we sometimes also have with candidates, that they have difficulties logging in. But that's normal, and that's life, I think. But we onboarded, for example, in March and April, we onboarded several people, where 4 of them did onboarding during Corona time, so remote onboarding, just 2 hours or 1 hour in the office, picking up their PC, social distancing, just meet their HR business partner, and go back for remote onboarding with the manager. And there are 8 or 9, I don't know my numbers by heart, but 8 or 9 plans to 9 contracts signed of people who will join in May and in June, also with full remote onboarding.
So that means you already implemented new procedures for onboarding with all the physical distancing and the measures in place.
Wow, so everything is done. From interviews is 100% video. Phone.
And what tools are you using, just to know? Is it always the same type of tools that you impose, or
for the video interviews we always use Teams, because that is our we work on a Microsoft corporate tool, and sometimes Zoom, but they prefer we use Microsoft Teams. So we use Teams for our signature of contracts. We use, of course, our own product.
You eat your own dog food, as they say. That's nice. You're obliged to. That's good.
And then, of course, we also have on testing, on even for leadership positions, we already have done remote assessments. So we work with a provider who offers that as well, so we can go ahead fully from a distance. And what I think the major takebacks for me is, okay, we're working in FinTech in a highly competitive market. So one, lead time stays difficult for us. It's a IT world. It's not that easy. So I don't see that much difference than before. We will keep on hiring. We are going at an even higher pace than before. So for us team, it's a full. We are in full charge, in full executive modus to make sure we can deliver. If you are working, I think, in a market where there are new products launching and focusing on digitalization, I expect that you will need to keep on hiring. Otherwise, it will be difficult. But the positive things I see from the market is first that candidates are more involved and they're more flexible but more involved and actually more active in the recruitment process. Where before we were in the driver's seat, they are now in the driver's seat chasing us. Yeah. But it's really nice to see, and I think that's nice that they are really interested in knowing more about our company. I also see that they value more working in a stable organization than before. It was more for permanent candidates, but I see even contractors having more value for longer term contracts, and that is what we also offer, long-term engagement for them. And that they really appreciate that they have a certainty for a long-term mission. So that's also a tendency that I see. And I feel that even for contractors, that a few of them are sooner available, that they sometimes it was really negotiating with other providers on when are they available, yes, no. And now you feel that they are on the market, available and willing to work and willing to start as soon as possible. And I think
we had a question on that, Catherine. Yeah, that's great. We had Chris Schulz-Cavallo who was saying, did he understand correctly, you are having more technical and IT roles in your organization?
Normally it's a mix between both, but for the moment it's mainly IT oriented, but sales and product, we have filled in several roles during the last months, but now the focus is more on IT roles. So I think 60% will always be IT tech roles. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that answer. For everybody out there, this is interactive, so don't hesitate to use the question in the chat boxes to reach out. I can't see how many slides you were still preparing for us, Catherine. Did we reach the end?
I give a summary. I give a summary of all. So I made a great presentation, but you can download it, I think, afterwards.
It's available for everybody afterwards. Yeah. The link is already on there in the chat box, so don't hesitate to go and check them. And so I see Jean-Louis already joining us for the group discussion. I know that we had somebody from the audience who asked to be seen. I think it was Vincent Lux. So maybe if he can be invited, Vincent Lux from DigiTribe, we'll invite him on stage too. So I hope that works, that we can, I know that we can, there can be 5 of us on there. So yes, there he is. You wanted to share some good news too, right? So tell us about DigiTribe.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank you all for your time today. Thank you to FinTech Belgium for organizing this webinar. Obviously, giving professionals from the sector the opportunity to connect and to share their experiences together. I think it's been a unique past few weeks now for all of us. And well, of course, within DigiTribe, we have stayed active during the crisis. We continued supporting our partners and creating value together, helping organizations cope with those unique challenges COVID brought us, actually.
Okay, super. So something more concrete, tell us about what you can announce.
Yes, so maybe a few words basically about DigiTribe. So our purpose is to infuse values to large and corporate organizations in digital transformation. We believe really in disrupting the consulting industry. We try to act as a partner, an advisor, and to develop services and approaches together with the community. Basically, we observed during the corona crisis an acceleration in various domains such as cybersecurity, business continuity, but also cloud transformation. Well, it's been our experience in the first week of the crisis. We have first started to help our partners to enhance and finalize the development of their infrastructure, allowing to remote working for everybody, of course. And then during the second part of the confinement, the focus has shifted towards a medium-term goal, such as multi-cloud strategy and, of course, cybersecurity. We also noticed several companies starting to prepare after the deconfinement, several worked very efficiently remotely, such as Catherine just explained it at Isabel, and will continue to do so until September. That's what we understand a little bit. We also remarked that some others have implemented a Team A, Team B strategy, so working with the shift basically, which is also a possibility. And we have also been working a lot trying to give back to the community, and therefore we have joined We Help Our Hospitals.be. It's a very nice initiative together with other cyber and FinTechs scale-ups and major player to provide several solutions to our hospitals to help them during this period.
Okay, great. Anything from the HR perspective? Do you see new type of roles evolving from the crisis? New type of profiles? That's maybe if you start and the others think about what they've seen come as new type of requests from the business.
Yes, indeed. Well, we have seen kind of hiring freeze or at least delayed on the more strategic roles and a bigger focus on the operational and technical roles.
Okay.
So that's been our experiences the past few weeks with most of our partners, actually.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for sharing that insight. I think I see the others are nodding. Is that the same to you? Yeah. Claire, in Febelfin, did you get similar feedback that the hiring that is going on is for operational roles and less for the managerial layers, to say so?
Not systematically, no.
Okay.
I have also some info that, for instance, lots of interim managers also for the moment are available on the market and are taking contact with the sector, and sometimes it leads to interesting decisions. So, well.
Okay, great. So I'm looking at the chat window. If people have questions, this is the moment to start asking them. If not, I will just go on with a few of the things that I saw coming by earlier on as a good question about the tool sets. Is there something maybe from Digitrap, because you're about collaboration and consulting? What are the typical tools that you saw emerge to help and more specifically in the HR and recruiting industry?
Basically, we have been discussing that a lot. Basic communication tools. We were talking about a few ones. Teams is an example. Several tools, and it's been quite challenging for some organization to cope with that. That's basic use of technological tool, especially in some sectors. It was quite complicated to implement, but finally, everybody is doing it, and we are quite pleased about that. We've had to help some of the partners that were maybe less equipped on the infra part, let's say, and it's been very interesting to help them in that endeavor.
Okay, good to know. Maybe Catherine, if you want to add up on top of that, how easy was it to make this switch? Because you have a team of HR professionals. How do you collaborate between each other?
What we switched to is to more regular contact. We do daily stand-up meetings together, just to make sure. First of all, it was on to see, okay, are there people ill? What do we need to do? But it moved on to just a daily stand-up meeting, and we increased the number of contacts and a number of team meetings just to be sure that we were all aligned. I think that's really important, and I think that's also a tip if you're onboarding someone remotely, that you foresee enough time to onboard them, because it takes a lot more time. I already had someone in my team who joined remotely, and it works perfectly, but you need to foresee extra time.
So the efficiency is not the same. And maybe also a follow-up question to you. What about the mental well-being? Because as an employer, you have a responsibility in that respect too. How do you address that? Because you don't see how people are doing.
Yeah, we have an initiative, we call that Standalone. We had, for the first weeks, we had every morning a meditation session, and now it's set to 2 times a week. We had some exercises that were shared there. We have our weekly company drink. We also did a drink in the team, so we have our Zoom drinks, and there we use Zoom for the fun fun activities. The corporate is Teams, but there are several there were ideas shared on, okay, how should you put up your home office? What is the ideal height for your computer, your screen? So little things. And we also brought our people in contact if they needed to speak to someone professionally, that they can contact a provider for psychological help if they need it, and they can contact people internally if they need support.
Okay, so
and what
you're providing that.
And what we also have done is we send out a survey to ask everybody's opinion. Okay, for us we stay in lockdown as a company until the 8th of June, and we send out a survey to ask, okay, what do you want? When are you willing to go back to the office? And actually 2/3 of the organization said it's fine like it is.
Okay.
Or we have problems for children, so it are technical issues to go back to the office. And actually 1/3 said, okay, I would like to go to the office, but most of them only part-time, 2 or 3 times a week. So actually today our executive team is under discussion to see how we will do the exit from the lockdown, and how we will do. But we see that it's more time consuming, but the results are there. And so we don't want to push our people in going back too soon. We're in the city center of Brussels. Most of us take public transport, so we are very cautious about it as well.
Okay, and Jean-Louis, for you, how did that go for your teams?
So actually, 2/3 actually wanted to go back. So what we said, we have made everything so that you have all the products, hygiene products, at any place at the entrance. We even installed the door
handles
with some stuff that you can use your elbow. So really, we had to organize so that 50% of these 2/3 can go at the office, and then every week we change. So that, of course, not everybody is mixing with everybody. And we also impose the people to wear the masks when they are moving around in the office. We are also proposing masks. So that's pretty cool. One thing, though, that as we have done as well, is that every day the team leads are doing some once or twice a week, some kind of stand-up meeting or morning prayer, if you want. Me with my director committee, every day at 8 o'clock, we have 15 minutes discussion, really much about the health of the people, and then the regular stuff for the company, because we need to monitor unemployment, we need to monitor the cost, but also the drop into revenues. One thing also that we have done is a massive engagement on a learning management system. So we have provided very, very, very fast some soft skills training for all people in various sessions, French-speaking, Dutch-speaking, implementing new tools to follow up on what they trained, and we are launching now a new LMS system in order to further boost the e-learning. Also, I have every 2 weeks calls with other directors from the group up, which is present in 20 plus countries. And I can tell you that in Europe, and especially Western Europe, we are very spoiled. If I speak with my counterpart in Mexico or Brazil, the government is giving zip to the PME, to the enterprise, and for unemployment. They have just nothing. So the people just are thrown away. They don't have any revenue, and that's it. So let us remember and remind to everybody here that maybe you complain, maybe you don't have your mask exactly at the time you want, but there are some countries that just say bye, and you're left away.
Okay, and maybe passing that on to a very good thought to all keep in mind indeed, that we're not many are worse off than we are here in the West. Clear about this well-being at work. Is this something that's from Febelfin? You've also done support or service about that?
No, absolutely. So at first, already the second week, we sent a survey around the well-being to all employees to know a little bit how they feel about on their capacity to interact with team, on their comfort at home, on their insecurity and need for information. So that was more in the first part. What we just did now, and I really experienced this as very powerful, is organizing a brainstorming with all employees who wanted to be part of this on exactly what we have already learned in this chaotic moment. And what we should keep with us, what we should stop doing, do differently. So really this going to a better normal is something fundamental. I have like one tool frustration on that. It's just about how do you make like subgroups in a meeting digitally. I didn't yet find the right button on Teams. I don't know what I can do, but really,
there is a button for that in Zoom, but we will not push you to that platform. It's not considered secured by banks. We know, but apparently you can for the drinks, and then you can go to
for the drinks. It's okay.
Okay, very good. I also wanted to mention, and I'm getting this on my second screen, that we have several FinTech members that are hiring, such as Loyaltech, Monizze, Bancontact, Spread, Stink, Virteo, Ebury. So we'll put up a separate link also when we publish the slides of this webinar, where you can see which other FinTechs are hiring for the people that are unfortunate or the ones that are actively looking for a new job. The war for talent is not over in this industry. And as you just heard, everybody on this panel is hiring currently. So it's still a good time to freshen your CV and to reach out to those companies that you believe are good employers and have interesting project ahead of you where you could be part of. So maybe if we go back to Vincent, if you want to have a closing remark from your parts, because we're going to have to start wrapping up this session.
Yes, of course. Well, we know that in this confined period and the recruitment market, as elsewhere, we are always sailing on site and in kind of troubled waters for the moment. The crisis has hit the economy hard and will undoubtedly have consequences for recruitment, its dynamics, condition, and the future of work more generally, as we were saying. To avoid suffering it, which not choose to consider the crisis first, as a powerful catalyst for change, basically a unique opportunity to rethink our deepest aspiration and our collective responsibility, both inside and outside the company, and rethink completely the way we work together today.
That's beautifully worded. So thank you for that closing word. I'm going to do the round. You said a high bar, so maybe get more actionable tips from the others, something we can learn from that. Jean-Louis, do you want to be next? You're muted, so go ahead.
Yes, sorry. So for me, I will be definitely below the level. The only thing I keep saying to everyone around myself is just keep your gezond boerenverstand in everything what you do. And that would be my concluding word.
Very good. Up for everybody. Common sense is something to all use to the max extent that we can use it. Claire, if you maybe want to give the Febelfin closing tip of the day. And you also need to unmute. Yes.
Yes, with pleasure. I would just say, focus on how collective intelligence in your company will be richer with different profiles around the table. That's definitely
Good. Fantastic. Thank you for that one. Katrien, you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I think for me, it's that I'm very proud that we're still, even in difficult times, are able to work, able to hire, and to see the positive things out of this. This is for me very important. And what Claire said, I think we should pick out the positive parts and should think about a better way of working for the future. And I think flexibility-wise, I think we're now making a good reflection on how we can do better and also foresee a better work-life balance for everybody.
We have a question about that from Alessandra Guillon. Like, do you see that half home working, half office is going to be one of the things in fintechs and banks in the near future?
I think it's possible. I think we already opened that discussion before Corona. I think in December we changed our home working policy from 1 day a week to depending what the manager decides. So there was already opened for more days if needed. But I think for our team, for example, it was 1 day a week. but I think there should be openings, and certainly for certain type of profiles and people who really need to concentrate and to focus, like development profiles. I think the home environment is sometimes better than the working space. And if you need to respect social distance in open spaces, is very, very difficult. So I think we need to continue both in the next months. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of good news here in this session. Hiring is going on. You're all doing a great job on that. I'm going to thank you for the time you took to share those insights with us today. And I'm going to call everybody. As you know, by now, we do these webinars on Friday from 2 to 3. So join us next Friday for one on how to manage the déconfinement, so the exit as part of our home working challenge that we've organized since that we went in lockdown. So really looking forward to seeing you all back for our next session. Thanking all our speakers. And don't forget to enroll for next session too. Bye-bye and see you soon. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.